I've been trading and traveling for the past 5 years now. It's been a lot of travel over these past few years. I want to share today with you my thoughts on trading and traveling, some things I've learned, things I like about it, things I don't like about it at all. We'll go step by step through this, and it should be a fun experience to talk about. Definitely a lot to cover here. Let's dive right in. Alright, so we're going to start quickly by addressing the setup I have for trading and traveling. Now, this has been changing quite a lot over the past few years. I used to carry a giant laptop around. I used to have a MacBook Pro, then a MacBook Air, then a Windows laptop. Now, pretty much all I have to carry around when I travel is a iPad Pro, which is kind of cool. It saves me a lot of effort, and it's definitely less heavy than all these other laptops. A lot more versatile too. I've been able to adapt what I do in my trading with this iPad only, and that's been kind of cool. Other thing I've got is a VPS, which allows me to run my algos basically on the cloud. So on MT4, MT5 platforms, but on the cloud. I can access this in case I need to do any tasks that require a computer. So it's kind of like a computer, but on the cloud. I'll leave a link below if you want to check out the VPS I use. It's a very simple company. It's very cheap. I believe it's like $15 a month for the basic one. Allows you to trade basically online. But that's been pretty cool to use. Last thing I have is it's not around here, but I have a HDMI cable, which allows me to, when I go to hotels, I connect my iPad to the TV. If the TV is around the desk, here's that, it's like at the back. But if it's near the desk, you can connect your iPad to the TV, have like a big monitor. You can of course do this with the laptop too, the same way. But it makes it for a much better computer experience. You have your charts on the big screen, you can do a bunch of things, you can multitask. So have a screen, the charts, and then you have something else on your iPad or your TV or something. Makes it pretty cool. And that's pretty much all I have other than like the smartphone stuff and like a few cases and stuff, like of course a keyboard for the iPad. That's kind of all I have that is essential for trading and traveling. Let's talk about the likes. Things I like about trading and traveling over the past few years, things I've been able to do. The first one is it's kind of cool to see new cities all the time. You can travel, be in a different place. You can change cities every 5 or 6 days, every week sometimes. Now I'm on a pace where I do like usually 5 days in the city. Change for a couple of days in a different place, then 5 days in the city. That kind of stuff works well for me. I found 5 days to be my sweet spot. 7 days is good, but depending on what you like. If you want to do more cities, then you kind of cut it down to 5 days. And that's kind of cool. Living in nice hotels is definitely good perks. Right now we are in Busan, which is near the ocean in South Korea. It's a pretty cool place. Actually, we should run here the view quickly. This is what the view from the hotel looks like. I mean, definitely better than being in the same place all the time, waking up in the same bed, the same view, all the stuff every single day. I would take this traveling and seeing new places anytime over being in the same place every single day. Now, one cool benefit of trading and traveling is you're never really staring at the chart too long. You don't really have a chance to like overtrade or look at the chart for like 5 hours a day and like stare at it or overly manage your trades. Because you want to go outside, you want to do stuff, you want to travel, see different things, you want to maybe do a few tours if you can. So you're never going to be at the charts all the time to look for trades. You're going to be doing other stuff, implementing your trading routine within that kind of time you're available. And then you have time to do other stuff. You don't really care about the charts that much after that. Sure, we're all like trading junkies. We love trading a lot. But when there's something else better to do, then you won't be staring at the chart and trying to wait for trades to show up and just wasting your time that way. I found traveling makes me focus a lot more on my goals. Like when you're at home, it's easy to get stuck in like a routine. You go to work, you do this stuff. Okay, you go to a cafe, you come back, you do this, you go to the gym. And it's kind of cool. Routines are definitely important and good. But I found that being around sometimes people who travel, especially in like nice hotels, people who have a lot more money, being in nice places that you don't typically go to, that stuff really helps you to kind of keep a focus on your goals. You also have a lot of thinking time, like when you're in a plane, when you're in a train, when you're sometimes transitioning from one city to the next. That's a lot of time to think, a lot of time to reflect, and to maybe think about where you want to go with life. And I think that's the thing that you don't get when you're staying at home. Like you don't have this downtime where you can really kind of focus and think big or have a long-term view of things. You get this a lot when traveling. So it's kind of cool. I'm adding this one here because it's kind of funny, but I think you can spend less than you would spend at home when you're traveling. Like depending on where you live, of course. I live in primarily Thailand. So for me, traveling is spending more money usually than living in Thailand. Because the cost of living there is quite cheap. I have a condo near the beach that's not too expensive. So anytime I go out, I definitely spend more money than I would do in Thailand. But for someone living in like the UK, maybe in Singapore, Hong Kong, in the US, it's very possible you're going to travel and spend actually less money than being at home. The hotel price could be even less than the rent. The food would be usually a lot cheaper if you go in Asia or even some places in Europe sometimes. And that makes it like you should actually travel to save money. It's kind of a cool thing to think about. That being said, I wanted to touch on some things that are kind of messy with traveling. Things I don't really like too much that I've, of course, have been able to adapt over the years a little bit more, but that are still a struggle for me sometimes. First one is that the routing can get quite messy. If you're going to travel, especially like whatever actually shit is during the week, it screws up all my trading. In a sense that I might go from like one place to the next, take a plane, or even take a taxi. Then I might skip my trading reviews that day, or I forget to journal that day. As much as possible, I try to move the days where I travel, like when I change cities, to ideally a weekend, a Saturday or Sunday, or maybe a Friday or Monday. These are not that bad in the market. There's a lot less trades I think on Fridays and Mondays. So for me to travel those days is not too bad. But if I travel like on a Wednesday, that's usually the worst, because then you have to miss some trades perhaps, you don't look at the charts, you forget some habits, and it kind of screws up your whole routine. And usually flights are cheaper during the midweek too, like on a Wednesday, it's usually cheaper than on a Sunday or Friday for sure. So that's definitely more difficult. What comes with that too is definitely the increase in missed trades. So the more you travel, the more you are on a plane. If you spend 10 hours in the air, you probably won't be trading that much, probably not at all even. So that means you might miss some trades. That's one of the reasons why I got into algo trading, because I want to be able to have a way to take trades 24/7, no matter what time zone I'm in, no matter what country I'm in, and no matter what I'm doing at this moment. I have a VPS that runs that with my algo strategies fully coded, where they can take trades by themselves. And I don't have to be there to manage the trade or look at the chart, and that saves me a lot of time. Now, this is not my whole trading. This is only part of it, but it helps me to kind of build some income and have a bit of stability on the side of my own manual trading. I also moved to daily chart, which means I only look at the chart once a day. So as a result, I can travel and do stuff and only have to look at the chart pretty much once in the morning or once in the evening, and then I'm done for the whole day after that. These things definitely help with the time zones, the traveling, and missing trades, of course. Now looking back, I could never see myself trade like a 1 hour chart. I've done it before. I had to, in the afternoon, set an alert to look at the chart every 1 hour, go to a cafe if I have to take a trade. That was a bit more tricky. Now, these days I don't do this anymore. I've done it before quite a bit, but I will not go back to it at all anymore for sure. Okay, important point here, the fact that you cannot really behave like a tourist if you're traveling and trading. In the sense that it's really cool to be in like all these cool places, like here in Busan in South Korea, or maybe you're going to be in like Paris for a while. And what tourists do when they travel is they go on tours, they like take the full day off, they have nothing to do, they go to the pool, they sip drink all afternoon. And as a traveling trader, you could do this part of it, but you cannot just do all of this. Like you cannot take tours for a full day and like not look at the chart. Or you cannot be fully off like on the beach enjoying your time all the time for like a week. And that stuff doesn't happen because you gotta of course make money. You got some pressure, we'll talk about this in a second. But also you cannot just do these things if you want to keep your habits and kind of keep your business running. I don't see this as a really big drawback because I don't like to be like a tourist. I don't like to just do the thing for a whole day. You could set yourself some days where you actually enjoy it and not going to do anything. Like take these days off if you want to, like on a Friday or Thursday or whatever. I love, by the way, to take days off during the week, like on a Wednesday or Tuesday. Everyone's going out, like running to work, and then you can actually take a day off. That's kind of cool. It's definitely a good feeling. Usually I'll just look at the chart in the morning, then I'll be done for the day. Not do anything else. Not do anything about my business, which kind of is a cool feeling. So, but yeah, if you want to be traveling and trading, you cannot be a tourist. You got to be willing to go through these habits first. Take some time off for sure. Like take a day off if you want to during the week. But you cannot just kind of go on tours and do stuff all the time. Actually, I found that for me, it doesn't work that way. On top of that, if you're going to be traveling as your only income, you got a bit more pressure to perform here while traveling. You've got some bills, you got to pay for the hotel, got to pay for different kind of transportations. In some cases, it could be cheaper than living in your own country, which is kind of funny. It would actually be better to just kind of trade full-time in a different country than your home. But in other cases, you're going to have to spend a bit more money, especially if you kind of live in nicer hotels and kind of travel in like a bit more style. Then you're going to have that pressure to perform a bit more. If you hit a drawdown and that's your only income, you're going to feel that pressure quite a lot. If you have a couple of days where there's no trades and you feel like you got to make money to pay for your hotels, you're going to feel that pressure a lot more than you would if you had a stable income. That's why I recommend not having only one income. I do trading, I do investing, I run a business. All these things together combined help me to build up quite a bit of cash flow and have some safety nets. So I never rely on just one income for paying my bills. I have multiple of them, and all these together help me to build some safety, and I feel good about it. Much more than if I just had trading. I definitely sleep better at night having a bit of buffer. Now, speaking of money, here's a fun thing, but your standards when you travel increase really fast. I used to, when I started traveling back in 2017, and that was my first year of trading full-time. I was traveling around China, around Asia a little bit, and I was staying in like very cheap hotels, usually sometimes even hostels. I would pay maybe $20 a night, $30 a night maximum for these hotels. And I was kind of comfortable in it. I was really happy about it. To be able to travel, have freedom, and kind of see the world as I was trading. Now these days, no way I can do this. And that's only 5 or 6 years of travel later. Taking off, of course, COVID during that time. But what happens is your standards as you travel more and more kind of creep up. They increase very fast. So you go from like a cheap hotel, then you gotta have a bit more luxury over time, then a bit more, then a bit more. You go from like a hostel to a 2-star hotel to a 3-star hotel, 4-star, then suddenly like 2 years later you have a 5-star hotel and you cannot go back. Or you go from like economy to business class really fast and then you cannot go back either. So you gotta be careful. Of course, you gotta have some money saved up. If you got enough income and you save a lot of money and stuff and you don't have to worry about it, that's cool. But if you don't have enough money, if you don't have a way to make extra income and you really kind of match your expense to your income fully, or you spend more than you actually earn, then that becomes a big problem pretty fast. So be careful. You can increase your lifestyle. You can pick things you really care about to maybe spend a bit more money, but then you should save up in other areas and try to, when you earn money every month, save at first, then spend the rest that you have available after. I'm at a point where I can save about 40% of my income without any problem, and then I spend 60% or a little bit less sometimes, and I can enjoy all these luxuries and kind of do things I want, and that makes me feel a lot better about splurging on some things I like to splurge on, and it's kind of cool. But yeah, there you go. It's a lot of things I covered here in this video. Any thoughts on this? Comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. Would you trade and travel? Would you do it? Is this something you want to do? Maybe it isn't. Maybe it's not. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below as always. If you want to see how I trade from an iPad, I've done a whole video on it. I love being able to just carry this, travel around. It's very, very cool. I'll put the video here on the side. You can check it out. I recommend you watch that one next if you care about freedom and traveling. And I'll catch you back here in the next video pretty soon. Ciao.